Have you ever heard the phrase, you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket? That applies for your money too.
Hey, I'm Alex.
And I'm Philip.
And we teach you grown-up stuff.
Because adulting shouldn't suck. If you're new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the comments below. Let us know if you like my mustache.
In this video, we're going to talk about why you need to have multiple bank accounts as a young adult.
Alex and I, we've been putting our money in different bank accounts way before we ever became like real grown-ups. We didn't even know it was the right thing to do. We just were doing it. For example, Alex and his wife, they've been putting money into a separate bank account every month for Christmas for years. I put money into a separate account every month for traveling because I like to go places.
Actually, we started putting money in a separate bank account for Christmas back when we were younger because we sucked at saving money. So it was easier to put it at a different bank where it was out of sight, out of mind. And then come Christmas time, we had money saved up rather than robbing from our savings because we didn't budget right. It's easier to do it that way. So you probably think that having everything all at the same bank makes sense, right? You have your checking account, your savings account, your credit card. Maybe you got a car loan. It's all easier if it's in one location rather than having it spread out and having all these different logins and financial institutions. You would think having all in one spot is smart.
Unfortunately, having all of your money in one financial institution isn't the best idea. There's plenty of different reasons why you should have your money spread across different accounts and different financial institutions. And in this video, we're going to talk about them and tell you why.
Most people are going to have a checking account and a savings account. And you would think just having those two things would make managing your money easy, right? Except no, it doesn't. If you have all your bills and all your spending money and everything coming out of your checking account, it makes it really hard to track where your money's going, especially as you get more bills or you do more stuff. And same thing goes with your savings account. If you're trying to save up all these different goals out of the same account, then it's hard to know what you're actually saving up for and how much progress you're making, whether it's for travel or different types of goals. So we're going to get into that. But having just those two types of accounts actually makes managing your money harder.
One bank isn't going to offer the best products in every category. A lot of people are going to bank with big banks like Chase, Bank of America, US Bank, and so on. And then they're also going to have accounts at their local credit unions. But why? There's a lot of different reasons as to why, but the most common ones are interest rates and fees that are associated with having accounts at those institutions. If you want to know about more between banks and credit unions, we have a video on that. And if you want to watch it, the link is going to be in the description below. So make sure you check it out.
So for example, all my money comes in my big bank and then it has automatic transfers into some other accounts I have at that bank, some accounts I have at a credit union, an online account that I have. So I've got them all over the place, but I separate them out so it's easier for me to track these different things I've got going on financially. If it all came into the same exact account, I would have a real hard time keeping everything straight. For example, if you have a savings account with Chase Bank, it might cost you, I don't know, $5 per savings account. Whereas if you go and you use a credit union, whoever's local to you, it might be free, or it could be like $1 per account. They're usually pretty inexpensive or free. So a lot of people will use credit unions if they're going to have multiple savings accounts. Now, like Philip said, not every bank or credit union is going to be across all different categories. So big banks usually have better credit cards for rewards, but credit unions have better credit cards if you're just trying to build credit. And that's not always true for every situation, but more often than not, you're going to need different institutions for different things you have.
Speaking of multiple savings accounts, people need to have their emergency fund as a separate savings account. Some people even need to have it at a separate bank. All right? Because people are going to see that money and they're going to be tempted to spend it. So you need to have it at a bank account that you don't have access to because you need to use your emergency fund only for emergencies. It's not a savings account that you're saving up for some goal. This is to pay for an emergency when it happens. Not if it happens, when it happens, because it's going to happen. If you do keep your emergency fund at your own bank, just make sure you hide the balance so when you're in your online app, you don't see the account. to help you reduce the temptation of borrowing that money and paying it back at a later time. That's bad juju. Don't do it. If you need help creating an emergency fund, we have a video on that too, and the link's going to be in the description, so check it out.
So speaking of all these different accounts you can have, short-term goals is a great reason to have a bunch of different savings accounts. Like I said, big banks usually charge you per account. So if you can find a credit union, you can have savings accounts, multiple savings accounts for free. That's ideal because you don't want to pay money every month in order to save for a goal. That's a waste of your own money that could be going towards that goal. So some stuff that people typically save up for are like what Philip loves. I mean, I love it too, but vacations. Who doesn't want to go on a vacation? And it makes it a lot easier to go on them when you have money you saved up for to go on it rather than going in debt. You've got a new phone that's coming out, or maybe you want to get a new car, or you're like Philip and you love playing video games. I mean, that's a lot of people. I ain't got time for that, but he loves it. So anyways, they're not cheap, right? The new PlayStation or Xbox, they're expensive. Video games are expensive. Have a goal, save up for it. And most of our videos on this channel, people talk about how they want to move out of their parents' house, they want to get a better life, less stress, whatever. That's a really good goal to save up for. And it's not cheap. Moving out of your parents' house, with a deposit and first and last month's payment for rent and all that other stuff that goes in moving out, usually you got to save up for it if you want to do it the right way. So we have a mini course that teaches you how to do all those things. That way you don't have to end up moving back home with your parents, moving back in, because nobody wants to do that. Admit defeat that you sucked at adulting. No thanks. So if you want to find out more about that, check out our course. We got a link in the description below.
Long-term goals. Long-term goals, saving accounts, these are great to have as a separate account, just like short-term goals and emergency funds. Just like with your emergency funds, you don't want to be tempted to spend these monies in this account. A lot of people hide the balance or they have it in a separate bank account. So they reduce the temptation, just like with the emergency fund, because when that money is sitting there and you see that balance in the account on your mobile app, you're going to be like, I really do want that thing for $500. And I do see that account right there with $500 in it, and I could do this. But that's not what the long-term account is going to be used for. You're going to use your long-term accounts for like vacations, weddings, buying a car, upgrading a car, buying a computer, going to college, something like that. So these are important goals that you're saving for, and you don't want to spend that money that you have in these accounts. So hide that balance, put it in a different bank account, don't have a debit card to it, and protect that money from yourself.
You ever seen that Pixar movie Up?
Yes.
The opening part of that, I know you got kids. The opening part of that movie is like the most depressing, realist part of like why adulting sucks for most people. And if you've never seen it, literally, it's this old guy. Well, actually, he starts out young, gets married to his wife, and they keep trying to save up money to go on a vacation, and then life happens. They have a kid, or they have an accident, or whatever, and then things keep happening, and they keep robbing that money from their vacation fund to pay for life, and then they never take on the vacation, and then they get old, and then she dies. Super depressing, right? Don't let that be you. Don't keep robbing from your accounts because life happens, and that's why we're talking about this stuff, is it's easier, I know it's just a movie, but it's easier to separate all those funds and then only have those funds for vacations or saving up for a house or whatever it is you're going to do. And then if you can't see it, you can't rob from it. And if you have that emergency fund like we talked about, you don't have to do that.
Damn right. Everyone's like, oh, well, I'll just borrow $100 from this account, but I'll pay it back next paycheck. You lying. You ain't going to pay it back. Okay? Happens all the time. So don't have access to it.
I mean, I've done it.
Me too.
Last thing we're going to talk about today is shared accounts. And these are great for some people. If you want to have a bank account with, let's say you're living with your boyfriend or girlfriend, or you get married, right? So then you got 3 different checking accounts. You got your checking account, their checking account, and then you got a shared checking account that you pay for all your bills out of. So you put 50% of the money in, maybe they put 50% of the money into that account, and then that's what pays your rent and all your utilities and groceries, and that's how you just allocate your money together. Sounds great in theory. I never did it until I got married because I didn't trust anybody else with my money, and anybody that has access to that account, that's on that account, has complete rights to all the money in that account. So maybe you break up, they drain that money. I don't know. I'm not trying to be dark and depressing about anything, but I've seen it happen to a lot of people. So shared accounts for me. It wasn't my thing until I got married. But everybody's different, and maybe that's something that works for you.
I ain't gonna do it. I ain't married though either. Ain't nobody getting no access to my money. But some people do it. I mean, if you have that roommate that you really trust, you guys have been together like, friends 15 years, what have you, and you guys talk about creating an account so people can automatically withdraw, the utilities from, all right. But just know that somebody could take that money. Okay? You or them. So just keep that in the back of your mind. In this video, we talked about big banks, credit unions, checking accounts, savings accounts, emergency funds, short-term goals, long-term goals, and shared accounts. It's a whole bunch of stuff. And you don't have to use all of it because, it can be hard to manage all of that. But if you do implement some of it, we promise you that it'll help manage your finances a little bit easier so you're not overspending and you're getting your goals accomplished.
So make sure you automate it. Because if you have to rely on your memory to do all this stuff,
you
probably won't happen.
Oh, you're going to forget something.
So that's the last thing, is we need to make sure you automate it, or you need to make sure you automate it in order to be successful at it every month.
Yeah. This is going to be really easy to automate if you work with that same employer and you've worked with them a long time. Then you can automatically just have that money set to go all the places on its own. But if you're bouncing jobs all over the place, this is going to be harder to do.
If you like to learn about this stuff, we got a lot more videos on budgeting in our budgeting playlist. So if you want to learn more, those videos go way more in depth. So we threw that link in the description. Go check them out and learn you some things.
Oh yeah. If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. In the comments below, let us know if you're already using any of the methods that we talked about today in this video.
And we'll see you in the next video.
Tell your mom we said hi.
Hey!